Hey everybody, Kurt Shaver, Chief Sales Officer of Vengreso here, and I'm excited today to welcome my friend and one of our clients here, Jeff Fenigstein. Hey Jeff.
Hey, Kurt.
So guys, Jeff is the VP of Marketing and Sales Operations at Woodruff Sawyer, one of the top professional business insurance agencies in the country. And his title is really important. It's exactly the kind of people we like to work with, because in the digital selling world, it really requires alignment between sales and marketing. So if we can get both of those titles under one VP, it makes the job a lot easier. That's why I wanted him to come on and share a little bit about his experience. So Jeff, kind of start us out. Tell us a little bit about Woodruff Sawyer, and also your role there and your role prior to that, to give them a little background.
So Woodruff Sawyer is a commercial insurance brokerage, one of the top in the country. We are a company that is just turned 100 years old, and at the same time represents some of the most disruptive technology companies in the country. So it's an interesting dichotomy. And it's interesting the business strategy discussions that we get in by being the people who protect them and protect them against risk. My background is basically as a marketing and operations leader at startups and financial services companies. I come to Woodruff Sawyer, though, not with insurance industry experience, but that's something that they actually wanted, because company knows that to look towards the second 100 years, it requires changing, it requires modernization, and it's a digital world. And so my background in digital marketing and e-commerce and with startups was really attractive to them. And so it's been a really great fit. I've been there for just a little over a year.
Well, first off, happy birthday, Woodruff Sawyer. Happy 100th birthday. And that was, in a way, that was kind of a trigger event for this project that we ended up doing, right? Because I know that you don't last 100 years if you don't kind of look forward and innovate and change and adapt and those types of things. So I know you guys had a really big rebranding effort to launch into your second 100 years. So talk a little bit about the rebranding effort, and then how the LinkedIn profile makeovers played into that strategy.
Yeah, we launched our new brand in April of 2018 of this year, and it was really an effort that, yes, the company's 100 years old, and it was time for something fresh, but it was really more about bringing forth things that are true about the company and the people that we're not coming across in the brand and in the messaging. So as much as it's nice to have new logo and fresh colors, it was really much more about the dedication of client service and how important that is at Woodruff Sawyer, and the approach that we take, and the humbleness, authenticity, and the knowledge that our people have that was not coming across in the brand as we had it. So it was really great to have this fresh, new and dynamic look, but it's even better that we're able to show up more truly as who we are.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know, I saw a lot of the stuff you were doing on the rebrand, and I know it involved, offline as well as digital assets, websites, LinkedIn company page, Twitter accounts, Facebook accounts,
it
as
was
well as
everything.
Brochures, business cards, just
every piece of collateral, the entire website, an entirely new website, new logo, new color palette, all new messaging about each of the product, each of our service lines and our offices,
right?
Everything soup to nuts. And that's where, and why we're here, the LinkedIn profiles of our experts were key to this, because the branding's not complete if the people who really represent our company, who work with our clients, and who have the knowledge, and we want that knowledge out there shared in the world, if their LinkedIn pages don't have that consistency of, one, the messaging of who the company is, and aren't showing them in the professional light of the level of what they have to offer and what they do for clients every day, that needs to be represented, and it needs to be represented within the context of the brand. Otherwise, without that, the rebranding actually wouldn't be complete.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, right about the time we finished the rebranding, the profile rebranding project with you guys, LinkedIn brought out their 2018 State of Sales report. And one of the big takeaway stats from there was they said that 62% of B2B decision makers said they look at a sales representative's LinkedIn profile before deciding to take a meeting. So, right, if it really is your sort of digital business card and the rep's individual persona, then, as you said, you brought them up, you upgraded them, you increased the consistency, and you brought them all in line with the new brand. So that is fantastic. So I think we should probably mention that, we've been working with Woodrow Sawyer a number of years, 4 or 5 years really, and done a number of training for people, obviously. And, along the way, part of that training included telling salespeople what to do to upgrade their LinkedIn profile. But this new process that we just did was actually different. And maybe you can talk about the differences of the old way between just telling them what to do, and not everybody did it, versus kind of this newer way that we did with the templates.
Yeah, I think anybody who works in sales operations and probably in marketing knows that telling salespeople what to do doesn't exactly, that's not enough to get the job done.
It's like children; they don't always listen.
Right. It's like children, and with even sometimes less power. So what? And in truthfulness, though, they're very busy, and some people get the power of LinkedIn and what it means and the importance for the end goal that they have, which is building relationships with clients and closing deals. And some people don't. I mean, everybody's on a different continuum. So in fairness, that's also one of the reasons why just sort of telling them what to do isn't enough. And then there's a level of expertise that's needed for actually doing it. Even if they have complete buy-in, it's like, all right, well, yeah, I should upgrade my LinkedIn, but what does that mean? What should I do? How do I look good on LinkedIn? What even belongs in there? And so there's the expertise needed. And then there's, even once they know how to do it, it takes time to do it right. And that's where Vengreso was really valuable, because you guys have the expertise and you put together the playbooks, but working really closely with our people to understand who we are. It wasn't like, oh, here's, you just buy it. It's like, no, you took the time to understand who Woodrow Sawyer is, what we're about from the corporate standpoint, like the brand itself and our messaging and the message we want to get across about who we really are, as well as the different parts of the business, to understand that segment and those customers and those people in those segments, to then put together what was needed so we could hand it to the salespeople and say, look, we have made it, we've gotten you 98% of the way there, and we're going to train you how to actually set this up. And I think the short of it is, why, after all this time, working with you for, and getting some advice and advising the firm on LinkedIn for 4 or 5 years, we finally do it. It's like, it had to get done, and it wasn't going to get done any other way unless we did it for them as much as possible.
Yeah, and that's why we always say it's such a collaborative process, primarily with marketing for this part of it, right? Because it involves all the messaging, that keyword, everything you're doing for the website, and it's copywriting, right? We have professional profile writers that work on it. You guys had your own graphics artists that did some of the images, right? You guys had video clips. Assets and things like that. So it's media, it's copywriting, it's graphics art, it's all these things, that the average salesperson doesn't just have up their sleeve. They're just not going to knock that out in a Saturday morning, right? So
it's not easy to do.
Right. It's not. It is like, it's a little mini website. So that's sort of fun. So what sort of feedback did you get from people? I mean, once they got through this process and they got their sparkly new profile, did you any feedback from the sellers?
Yeah, absolutely. The feedback overall, anybody that I spoke to, and people reached out really on their own without even having to solicit feedback, that it was great. They love how, well, one, that we made it easy for them. And that the best part was people talking about how they feel proud of their profile now, how they're more confident about showing themselves in this medium. For a lot of people, showing up in this medium of social media and LinkedIn in particular was new to them, and they also held back because I heard direct comments of, I didn't like to want to like or share or like kind of be all that active because I didn't want anyone to see my profile. Like, it was kind of embarrassing to them that there was really nothing there, or what they had there, they just didn't like how they wrote it or how they were presenting themselves. And so here we are as a marketing team wanting engagement and saying, hey, this is how you build yourself as an expert online. This is how you start to connect with people. And this is how you start to show what you know. And this is also how you get the Woodrow Sawyer name out to the right people. And part of the underlying issue wasn't, oh, they're too busy to hit the like button, which can drive a marketer insane. Like, would you just hit the button? It's that I don't want to hit the like button because I don't want anyone to see I don't want people to see me. Sure. I don't want them to see my profile.
Yeah, it really helps their confidence on LinkedIn, and then their activity grows, which is what you want, right? One of the other things
one other thing about finally taking the plunge and doing this wasn't just that from the rebrand, okay, we need this done, it's the only way it's really going to get done. It was that it's the first step that needed to happen to be able to move into, whether we want to call it social selling or we just want to say move into having our people be more visible online. Like, okay, well, before we start doing more to promote them and promote the firm and get our own expertise out there on LinkedIn, let's make sure that anytime our people are doing this, the first step is make sure they look good and make sure that people who go to their page know who they are, what they do, and how they can help them.
And again, I mean, as I said earlier to start, obviously Woodrow Sawyer is very innovative. You know, you're really leading in the industry in terms of your selling methodologies. And I know you've invested in the LinkedIn Sales Navigator tool, which is further testament, right, that you're really committed to kind of the modern way of selling. And so the profiles, we always think they're foundational really before you get into more sophisticated things like the Sales Navigator.
Absolutely.
The other thing that you guys did that I really liked that I want people to know about is how you provided. We do a template driven, so we're getting some economies of scale out of it. However, one of the things you guys customized for people was you had different graphical background images associated with the different office locations and geographies that you guys had. So, you know, you're San Francisco based. That's where the most people are. So I know you had a lot of different San Francisco skyline and Golden Gate Bridge and things like that, images that people could look at. And I know up in Portland, there was like some, you know, cool things of like the coast with like pine trees and things like that. I think in Southern Cal, you maybe had one of like Laguna Beach. It looked like, you know, warmer water where you could go surfing. And I know even you guys got an office out in Boston, and you had like a New England lighthouse, you know, the rocky beaches type of thing. Where did that idea come from? That was a great idea from somebody had.
It comes from, we look for the opportunities where the individual offices can show that they're local, that they understand the markets that they're in, that they are people who grew up in those areas. You know, our people in Boston are from Boston. They know Boston businesses. They know the economic challenges.
Go Red Sox!
and the same with Portland, and the same with Denver, and same with Southern California. And they recognize also how important it is they're proud of where they're from.
Right.
And it's also important for them to show in the marketplace that, yes, okay, we are a San Francisco headquartered firm, but we're from Boston, we're from Denver. Right. We grew up here, we know this market, and we know the challenges of our clients in these areas.
Yeah, I mean, that was just really, and it drives the adoption, like you said, you know, because the people embrace it more, right?
Yeah, and LinkedIn's a digital platform. So whereas the company only has one website,
Right.
Even though we have a page for each office, these are individual pages. So any place that we can use that to individualize, we're going to do it.
Yep. Well, this has been great. I hope everybody listening is getting some ideas, seeing some value for upgrading their sales team's profiles and some ways that they can maybe customize it, help drive activities and things like that. Any other sort of final words that you want to share in terms of your guys' process for upgrading 100 people's profiles?
I think with a lot of things, you have to start with the why. Like, even though we're not only just, we went from like our telling people to do it, and that's not happening. Now we're telling them we're basically going to do it for them, but they still need to do some work. And we are also setting the groundwork for, this isn't like the end of the LinkedIn project. This is the beginning of the LinkedIn project. So having people understand that and the power of LinkedIn, and you, Kurt, were great when you came to our offsite and got people excited about this project. It's so that they understand, oh wow, this is going to be good, and like they're helping me get started, and then I'm going to look good online, and now I can start sharing, and why is that even important, and all the stuff, all the stats that you shared about LinkedIn and how big it is, and 575 million professionals on it, all of that stuff. Then now they see it as part of a bigger picture. So there's all the tactical stuff that Vengreso helps with, and the strategic piece, but you still need to get people excited, even though part of the sales pitch is like, we're pretty much going to do it for you.
Right.
You need to understand why and be excited about it, and that I think is key.
Yeah. Well, listen, thanks so much. Tell people if they want to connect with you or find out more about Woodruff Sawyer, where should they go? Where you want to point them?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to find out more about Woodruff Sawyer, go to woodruffsawyer.com, and you can contact me on LinkedIn /Jeff Fenigstein.
All right, great, Jeff. Thanks so much, and we'll look forward to the next phase in digital selling at Woodruff Sawyer.
Me too. Thanks so much. Take care, Kurt.